Principles of Catholic Social Teaching. The Catholic Church has manifested concerns with social justice issues from the time of Pope Leo XIII to the present Pope. The Catholic Church's social teaching is a rich treasure of wisdom about building a just society and living lives of holiness amidst the challenges of modern society. The Church has been criticized for meddling in matters that do not concern it. Many people believed that the Pope, bishops, priests, and religious should not make pronouncement about political and social matters. But issues concerning the improvement of human life and the alleviation of sufferings are moral issues. Morality has to do with the principles and values that regulate our dealings with each other in society. The Church has the right to speak out on such issues. Modern Catholic social teaching is said to have originated in 1891 with the encyclical letter Rerum Novarum on capital and labor. Since then, a wealth of teaching continued to give new life to the scriptures and shape the Church response to our modern world. From these Catholic social teaching documents and encyclicals, core principles were derived. Life and dignity of human person. The Catholic Church proclaims that human life is sacred and that the dignity of the human person is the foundation of a moral vision for society. This belief is the foundation of all principles of our social teaching. We believe that every human person is made in the image and likeness of God. This is a gift that we all share as fellow human beings. We are all infinitely loved by our Creator. God is present in every human person, regardless of religion, culture, nationality, orientation, or economic standing. Each one of us is unique and beautiful. We are called to treat every person and every creature with loving respect. Every person is precious. People are more important than things, and the measure of every institution is whether it threatens or enhances the life and dignity of human person. Call to family, community, and participation. The person is not only sacred but also social. How we organize our society in economics and politics, in law and policy, directly affects human dignity and the capacity of individuals to grow in community. Marriage and the family are the central social institutions that must be supported and strengthened, not undermined. People have a right and a duty to participate in society, seeking together the common good and well-being of all, especially poor and vulnerable people. According to St. John Paul II, the first and fundamental structure for a human ecology is the family, founded on marriage, in which the mutual gift of self as husband and wife creates an environment in which children can be born and develop their potentialities, become aware of their dignity, and prepare to face their unique and individual destiny. Economic and social policies, as well as organization of the work world, should be continually evaluated in the light of their impact on the strength and stability of family life. Rights and responsibilities. The Catholic tradition teaches that human dignity can be protected and a healthy community can be achieved only if human rights are protected and responsibilities are met. Therefore, every person has a fundamental right to life and a right to those things required for human decency. Corresponding to these rights are duties and responsibilities to one another, to our families, and to the larger society. Every person has the right to live. He or she has the right to bodily integrity and to the means necessary for the proper development of life, particularly food, clothing, shelter, medical care, rest, and finally, the necessary social services. In consequence, he has the right to be looked after in the event of ill health, disability stemming from his work, widowhood, old age, enforced unemployment, or whenever through no fault of his own he is deprived of the means of livelihood. St. John 23, Peace on Earth, Pacem in Terris, number 11. In human society, one man's natural right gives rise to a corresponding duty in other men. The duty, that is, of recognizing and respecting that right. Every basic human right draws its authoritative force from the natural law, which confers it and attaches to it its respective duty. Hence, to claim one's rights and ignore one's duties, or only half fulfill them, is like building a house with one hand and tearing it down with the other. Option for the poor and vulnerable. The option for the poor reminds us of God's preferential love for the poorest and most vulnerable people. God's love is universal. He does not side with oppressors, but loves the humble. A basic moral test is how our most vulnerable members are faring. In the society marred by deepening division between rich and poor, our tradition recalls the story of the Last Judgment and instructs us to put the needs of the poor and vulnerable first. The way we treat others has a transcendent dimension. The measure you give will be the measure you get. It corresponds to the mercy which God has shown us. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. The Church's love for the poor is a part of her constant tradition. This love is inspired by the gospel of the Beatitudes, of the poverty of Jesus, and of concern for the poor. Those who are oppressed by poverty are the object of a preferential love on the part of the Church, which, since her origin and in spite of the failings of many of her members, has not ceased to work for their relief, defense, and liberation. Love for others, and in the first place love for the poor, in whom the Church sees Christ Himself, is made concrete in the promotion of justice. The dignity of work and the rights of the workers. The economy must serve people. not the other way around. Work is more than a way to make a living. It is a form of continuing participation in God's creation. If the dignity of work is to be protected, then the basic rights of workers must be respected. The right to productive work, to decent and fair wages, to the organization and joining of unions, to private property, and to economic initiative. Work should be the setting for this rich personal growth, where many aspects of life enter into play: creativity, planning for the future, developing our talents, living out our values, relating to others, giving glory to God. It follows that in the reality of today's global society, it is essential that we continue to prioritize the goal of access to steady employment for everyone, no matter the limited interests of business and dubious economic reasoning. Helping the poor financially must always be a provisional solution in the face of pressing needs. The broader objective should always be to allow them a dignified life through work. Solidarity. We are one human family, whatever our national, racial, ethnic, economic, and ideological differences. We are our brothers and sisters' keepers, wherever they may be. Loving our neighbor has global dimensions in a shrinking world. At the core of the virtue of solidarity is the pursuit of justice and peace. Pope Paul VI taught that if you want peace, work for justice. The gospel calls us to be peacemakers. Our love for our sisters and brothers demands that we promote peace in a world surrounded by violence and conflict. Solidarity is not a feeling of vague compassion or shallow distress at the misfortunes of so many people, both near and far. On the contrary, it is a firm and persevering determination to commit oneself to the common good. That is to say, to the good of all and to each individual, because we are all really responsible for all. Care for God's creation. We show our respect for the Creator by our stewardship of creation. Care for the earth is a requirement of the Catholic faith. We are called to protect people and the planet, living our faith in relationship with all of God's creation. This environmental challenge has fundamental moral and ethical dimensions that cannot be ignored. A true ecological approach always becomes a social approach. It must integrate questions of justice in debates on the environment, so as to hear both the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor. Everything is connected. Concern for the environment thus needs to be joined to a sincere love for our fellow human beings and an unwavering commitment to resolving the problems of society.